go to the phone lines and then we'll come back to the mayor. We'll go back to Hakeem the Dream. Welcome to Honest Opinion, keeping it real, making it happen. What say you, caller?
Thank you, sir, for taking my call. This is Leon Gallen. I asked a question of the mayor. And from your last question, we understand that there's some suffering in service and some things that we can do and some things that we can't do. We have to understand, what are you asking of us? Because we're asking you a lot, being the leader. But what are you asking of us to do to aid you in your bid to make this city the next great city?
Very good question. Let's get an answer from the mayor, and then we'll come to Hakeem the Dream.
Well, Reverend Gallen, first of all, thank you. I mean, first and foremost, I think you can pray for me. In whatever manner you choose.
All traditions.
All traditions. All traditions. I need all the prayers that I can get, as does this city. I mean, we are facing, obviously, difficult times. We are not unique. If anything, we are actually in better financial condition than most jurisdictions. I was looking at some of the statewide press yesterday, and there's the city of Hollywood is virtually in default. You got the city of Miami laying off lots of people. I see the struggles of our friends in Hillsborough County. I mean, we are in far better shape than that. But what you can do for me first and foremost is pray. Second of all, believe in the capacity of this city to be great.
Okay.
I mean, we need to get ourselves back on track. We need to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. I think there is a pent-up demand out there for people wanting to be inspired and wanting to believe that not only are we going to emerge out of this recession, but that we are going to be better as a result of it.
Exactly.
We've got our challenges ahead of us. I think I was elected 4 months ago because I offered a message of hope,
yes.
Not a message of status quo. And so we're going to have to change sort of the culture around this community. But I think ultimately out of this we will emerge stronger and more competitive as a city, which in turn will lead to our ability to attract jobs, which means people can get hired.
Hakeem the Dream.
Well, that's very good, but I'm very inspired by what you said. And I would like to just follow up on the last caller. And in my monologue, I was saying that we have to work together. We can't let the city fail because we can't point the finger at the leadership. The leadership can't point the finger at the resident of the city. Now, me as a business person, and I've been fortunate to be blessed to be a business person for the majority of my adult life, about maybe 35 or 40 years. And what I do is that if I have a product that's a good product, I increase in that product. And if I have a product that's not selling, I eliminate that, bringing a new product. So what I'm saying is that when you do have some money, would you be like a businessman, turn and invest that money and not just let that money be used and not try to make a profit over it so you can keep people at work?
Well, that's a great question. And when you talk about investing money from the city's perspective, you're using public dollars first and foremost. And so for me, my rationale has always been investment in infrastructure that will produce opportunities and economic development is a worthwhile investment. And so you'll see during the course of this budget that we are going to make some investments in some of our public spaces. We've got aging infrastructure that needs to be repaired. Some of our pipes are 120 years old. It's not sexy stuff. It's usually under the ground where you can't see it, but it's got to get done. So I don't want to maintain projects and processes that don't result in economic opportunity.
Right.
And so my investments will be strategic. I will want to be able to justify the money that we are spending because it's your money. Right. It's not my money. Right. Hakeem, when you buy a product, that's your capital at risk. When I make investments, it's your tax dollars at risk.
Right.
So there's a different expectation of return. I don't expect profit, but if I can help set the table for entrepreneurs in the business community grow and be successful, which means they're creating jobs, which means they're hiring my folks and my residents, that's a good investment.
Right. As a follow-up question, just in case I get a chance to get back.
It's your show. How can you not get back?
Trust me. But
Jarvis, Brother Jarvis, doesn't let you get back on your own show?
Sometimes it happens. But seriously, the thought came to me because I really truly want to see the city successful, the community successful, your leadership successful. So I'm advocating that earlier this year, we talked about a 1 cent for the rail. So now, but after all else, come to the citizens and say, look, We need your help, maybe a half-cent penny raise or something like that, just to keep us afloat. And only won't be for lifetime, maybe for a year, 5 years. Was this something that you had thought about? And what do you think about it?
Well, I think we have to think about it. I mean, I think that campaign was a great start to a educational process. I mean, I wasn't happy with the results. I thought it was unfortunate. It did pass in the city. It got crushed out in the county. But I think that's the beginning, not the end. I don't know that we were going to recommend that we put it on the ballot next year. But certainly we've got to continue that process, because I will tell you, the inability for folks to move around this community, and I would remind you that we are the only jurisdiction of our size in the country that doesn't have some type of mass transit or plans for mass transit. That limits our ability to compete for the kinds of jobs that we need to create. So we've got to stay on it, Hakeem. It's, you know, you look at Phoenix, it took Phoenix 3 times before it finally passed. I think in Florida, because of our development patterns, it doesn't lend itself to the density that other big cities have. But by the same token, it doesn't negate the need for some type of last.
Let's go to the phone lines, Mr. Mayor. Hakeem, he was the one that really derailed that light rail. He was against it. Now all of a sudden he's telling you to bring it back.
Well, like you say, 3 times. So
Hakeem, we're going to wear you down.
I know that's right.
Let's put a stop at the corner of Columbus and North Boulevard.
You got me, brother.
He's sure you leave it there. Let's go to the phone lines. Welcome to Honest Opinion, keeping it real, making it happen. What say you, caller?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
As always, I remind you that Abraham had 2 sons. And the question of, in the words of Rodney King, why you brothers just can't get along? But I have something I would like to say, then I would like to ask the mayor a question. First of all, I know to be a leader, as I've heard, I think you need the strategy of one of General Hannibal. I know you need the love of Jesus and Gandhi, and you also need the love of Martin Luther King. Most of all, you need the wisdom of Solomon, because when you rule over people, wisdom comes from God. And the question I would like to ask the mayor, and then another comment, is this. You know, I used to call him Preacher Rob. I used to see him in church so much. So I'd like to know, when was the last time you've been to one of the churches that you used to attend before the election? And the other statement I'd like to make, because I heard someone say they've been in Tampa for 30-some years. I've been in Tampa for 79 years, and I've seen a lot of changes. And if you go downtown after 6 o'clock, you see that Tampa on a weekday is like a ghost town. And I would like to call your attention to this. Almost every store, a department store that we picket is closed up. Now I say, is that a curse or is that a blessing? But now I think that we need to do something to resurrect the downtown area at night, because I know the tax dollars would help the city of Tampa. So what can we do to get an apology?
Okay, Reverend Dixon, I think we got your point.
Go ahead.
Reverend Dixon, let's give the mayor a chance to answer. We got the phone lines is just piling up, and we haven't even asked the questions they want to ask. So we appreciate your question, but I think you got the gist of your question. Make your comments brief, Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, because we want to try to get a lot of callers.
Absolutely, Jarvis. And Reverend Dixon, I've gone from Preacher Bob to Mayor Bob, but I haven't stopped visiting the churches. As a matter of fact, I was with Reverend Madison Murray last week at his church as he celebrated his 46th anniversary. And you know, I am so lucky that the churches have been such an integral part of my life. I think everybody understands that my life is a little bit different now, and the scheduling of my life is a little bit different. I try and as best I can to make sure that I have family time as well, because I have, as you know, I've got a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old, and if I'm a failure as a father, it doesn't matter how good I am as the mayor. And so I am going to fiercely protect that family time with those girls, because they need me. And so I'm somewhat limited, but my commitment is to do what I have done for 25 years and continue to be a part of this community and show up even when I'm not invited. I am there, and I'm going to stay there for the entire service. And so it's...
That's right. Briefly about developing downtown.
Well, absolutely right. And as many of you know, I talked a lot during the course of the campaign about developing our urban core. I mean, we've invested probably close to $1 billion over the last 20 years in downtown Tampa, but we've never connected the dots. And so we've got to get a return on that investment, and we've got to find a way to make downtown, and remember, downtown is everybody's front door. I mean, downtown is an important part of this community that needs to be developed. That waterfront is an asset that very few cities have. That ought to be the focal point. That ought to be the attraction. That ought to be the gathering place for people to come. We're starting to see that now. We're starting to see more restaurants get established there. We need to program those parks. I mean, if you look at the city of St. Petersburg, they have Jazz Fest and Blues Fest and Cajun Fest and art festivals, and they're busy probably every weekend. We need to get to that point, and we need to make sure that everyone knows that, hey, you know, we're all welcome down there. We're going to celebrate every different ethnicity and culture of this community, and those public gathering points ought to be where we all come together. And so, Reverend Dixon, I think you're going to see me spend an awful lot of time focusing on that.
Very good. Let's go to the next caller. Welcome to Honest Opinion, keeping it real, making it happen. What say you, caller?
Hey, Thomas Salamine, Team the Dream, and I'm Buckhorn, man. It's so right to this guy.
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Joe. I'm going to definitely be over there next week at a town hall meeting on his side. You know, the NAACP and his side. But my question is this, is I know Bob's in the check, and I know he's going to do right with the minority businesses and small businesses. I mean, they keep them true versus afloat the city is. I appreciate that. However, Bob, I'm all behind you because I want you to get this $50 million for the Republican RNC convention so we can put that in the economy. I know it's for security, but make sure that we got some small businesses that we can get piece of that $50 million. I'm making phone calls this morning to get this debt ceiling thing to $2.4 trillion. I think it's going to pass. But I just want to make sure you keep that up and keep doing what you're doing. And one question that I didn't hear answered a couple times back is we got this surplus property and surplus land in the city. I know you're looking at trying to consolidate and maybe sell some of that off so we can generate some revenue. But I just want to hear your response to that $50 million and how you're going to try to make sure anyway that small minority business is a piece of that security money. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Joe, and I appreciate what you do for the community. Let's, and Jarvis, if you could give me a second on this one.
Okay, no problem.
This is important for the city of Tampa.
Okay.
We all know that the Republican National Convention is coming to Tampa next August. I will tell you, that is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for this city to showcase itself to the entire world. Other than the Olympics, these conventions are the most watched production, if you will, of anything else out there. There will be 15,000 journalists alone, just journalists, here in Tampa for that week, telling the story of Tampa. And so how we position it, how we look, how we put our best foot forward is awfully important, because for me, and everyone knows that I'm a Democrat, but for me this is not a partisan event, this is an economic development opportunity. Right. And so there'll be plenty of opportunities, and Joe's exactly right. We need to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to share in this, for small businesses to provide services to the convention. There will be a total of probably 40,000 people that will be here as part of that convention. I was in Washington, D.C. last week trying to make sure that the Congress allocated the money that they've always allocated for these conventions, which is about $50 million per city. We anticipate we're going to have to hire 4,000 law enforcement personnel to make sure that the nominee and the conventioneers have a safe event. So that's $25 million alone that will get put out in the community. There's another $20 million in security things that we will have to purchase. I mean, it is a huge, huge opportunity for us, and we're going to do it right. I'm going to make sure that when they leave, that they say that this was the best city that they've ever had a convention in. But it is a great opportunity for Tampa. We all should participate, and we all should be proud that we got selected.
Is it going to cost us any money, though? Are we going to lose any money on this convention?
Well, thankfully, Mayor Iorio, before she left office, struck a legal document with the organizers of the convention that indicated that there is no risk for the city of Tampa. They are obligated to raise $50 million of their own. They are on the hook if the feds don't come through with the security dollars. Okay. So we are totally not at risk, thanks to her.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Welcome to Honest Opinion, keeping it real, making it happen. What say you, caller?
Good morning. This is Diane Hart, and I want to applaud you all for the shows that you have had, that you're all doing an excellent job. You know that on next Thursday, July 21st, we're going to have a town hall meeting for all the people who cannot get on this morning or could not ask the mayor a question in the previous show. And come out on Thursday, 6 p.m. at 2100 East Lake Avenue to have a one-on-one